Okay, good morning children. So in the last two classes we have seen phrases. Okay, what are phrases, what are the classification of phrases, how to pick out the phrase from a sentence and to identify whether it is adjective phrase, adverb phrase or noun phrases. Okay, so that we have completed, we have done a lot of examples and also we have done the exercises in the textbook. Okay, moving on to the next topic in our book is clauses. Okay, so phrase and clause which is always connected with each other. A phrase, a part of a sentence which does not contain a subject and a verb, and clause is just its opposite. So what it can be, a clause means it is also a part of a sentence that must contain a subject and a verb. Okay, so clauses. So today's lesson is clauses. Clause, first thing, part of a sentence. Second thing, must contain, it is necessary, must contain a subject and a verb. Okay, at least verb is there, at least one finite verb. Okay, non-finite we are not counting, at least one finite verb should be there in the clause. Okay, so clause is a part of a sentence and clause must contain a subject and a verb, and rather than in phrase we know that it should not contain a subject and a verb. Here it must contain a subject and a verb, and that verb must be at least one finite verb should be there. Okay, we cannot count non-finite verb as a verb, so at least one finite verb should be there in a clause. Okay, so these are the three conditions that we have to follow if we are picking out a part of a sentence as a clause. Understood? Okay, so first thing, what is meant by a clause? Same way as phrase, we know that phrase also has classifications. Sorry, a clause also has classifications. Okay, the classification of clauses, which are the three? Adjective clause, adverb clause and noun clause. Okay, and as I've told you, the main difference between phrase and clause is that phrase is a part of a sentence. Okay, so if you want, we'll just write the difference first. Differentiation of phrase and clause. Phrase, part of a sentence. Here also it is same, there is no change in this one. Okay, normally we write the differences only, but here it is same, part of a sentence. Okay, and next one. Should not contain subject and verb. Here must contain subject and verb. Next thing is that, what is the next difference? Okay, this one actually we cannot write here, right, because both are same. We are writing the differences. Okay. But next one should not contain subject and verb, must contain subject and verb. Then any other main difference is there? Cannot stand by its own. Can stand by its own. Why it can stand by its own? Because it contains a subject and a verb. Okay, if a subject and a verb is there, we know that it can stand by its own. It will have a meaning. Sometimes not complete meaning if it is a subclause. Okay, so we'll see. And if it is a main clause, of course, it can stand by its own. Okay, it doesn't need this dependence of any other part of the sentence to complete its meaning. Okay, so here should not contain a subject and a verb. Here must contain a subject and a verb. Cannot stand by its own. Can stand by its own. Okay, and phrase, one finite verb. One finite verb. Here, no finite verb. But of course, we have mentioned here in general. Okay, so these are the main differences between phrase and clause. And okay, next one, classification. So this I hope that it is clear to you, difference between phrase and clause. And next, moving on to the next thing is the classification of clauses. Okay, and classification same as verbs, phrases, adjective clause, adverb clause, and noun clause. Okay, and what is meant by an adjective clause? Adjective phrase, of course, we know that a phrase that has the work of an adjective is called an adjective phrase. So same only. Okay, only difference is that instead of a phrase, here it will be a clause. Okay, so here adjective clause means a clause that does the work of an adjective, and a clause that does the work of an adjective is called an adjective clause. So the thing is that the same way where the phrase is doing the work of an adjective, phrase is qualifying an adjective, here instead a clause is qualifying an adjective. Clause, the difference is that here it contains a subject and a verb. Only that is the difference. Okay, so that the same thing will be qualifying the noun. So the adjective clause always will be placed next to the noun. It qualifies. Same as an adjective phrase. Only difference there is no subject and verb. Here subject and verb is, which is very simple. Okay, and mainly the adjective clauses will be separated from the remaining part of the sentence by using certain following words like relative pronouns. We have already studied that. See, who, whose, whom. We know that these are used for persons. Okay, and which for things. Please do write all this, and that for both persons and things. Understood? Okay, so these are the three things that you have to remember. Always adjective clause will be separated with the help of any of these words which are relative pronouns. Okay, or else we can call it as conjunctions. Also, it does the work of a conjunction, and also relative pronoun. Relative pronoun, in the lesson pronouns we have studied that which combines the remaining part of the relative pronoun and its antecedent. Okay, so antecedent will be the noun, and the relative pronoun starts from there starts the adjective clause. So okay, so who, whose, whom, that is used for persons, and which is used for things, and that for both persons and things. This you have studied already before. Okay, and exception is there. As is also sometimes used. Okay, so other than that, as is also used as a relative pronoun which connects the remaining part with the adjective clause. Understood? And exceptions other than as, when is also used. When, normally we know that when is used for adverb clause. Okay, but sometimes when is also used in this section, when and one more, where. These two usually comes in adverb clauses. Okay, but exceptional cases are there. These are exceptional cases. So please remember, these two are exceptional cases, but it can also be used in adjective clauses also. Okay, don't think that if when and where comes always it will be adverb clauses. Sometimes, very rarely, it can be adjective clause also. So only the difference will be that before this a noun will be there. An explanation of the noun will be given in this part. Okay, but if it is an adverb clause, we know that explanation of the adverb which qualifies the verb only will be given with the help of this about the place and the time. Understood? Okay, so these are the things that you have to keep in mind in adjective clause. So who, whose, whom for persons, which for things, that for both persons and things. Okay, and as is also sometimes used where and when. So all these are for adjective clauses. Okay, and adjective clauses I think comparatively it's easy. Why? Because it is separated by the help of comma, and also any of these words will be there. Okay, so from the beginning of these words we can separate it as adjective clause. Okay, and examples, we'll do some examples, and how to convert a phrase to a clause also. Okay, sentence will be given with an adjective phrase, and you have to convert that to adjective clause. Okay, that also we'll see here. Okay, an example. The boy wearing a blue shirt is my brother. Okay, the boy wearing a blue shirt is my brother. Here you can see that wearing a blue shirt is adjective phrase. Is it not? Okay, phrase. The boy is my brother. So we are going to convert this phrase to a clause. How? It's very simple. The boy, as we have already told the relative pronouns that we are using to combine the adjective clause with the remaining pronouns. The boy Who is wearing, very simple, who is wearing a blue shirt is my brother. Understood? Okay, the boy who is wearing a blue shirt is my brother. So, boy is a noun, and that's what kind of boy who is wearing a blue shirt. This is adjective clause. We can see that verb is there, subject is there. Who means antecedent is here. Okay, so explanation of the antecedent is given in this relative pronoun. So, this is the subject. And why we are calling, we are picking out the sub-clauses only. Okay, clauses, we know that clause can be main clause or sub-clause. Clause means it's a part of a sentence which should contain a subject, it must contain a subject and a verb, and if it can stand by itself, at least a finite verb is needed there, and if it can stand by its own, we can call that as a simple sentence. Okay, if it is independent, that is main clause. If it is independent means it is main clause. If it is not independent, if it depends on the remaining part of the sentence, then it is called subclause. Okay, so clauses can be main clause and subclause. And in this lesson, we are picking out adjective clause, adverb clause and noun clause. And all these clauses will come under subclause only. Because we are main clause is the boys, the remaining part is a meaningful that already we have told in phrases also. Same is done here. Okay, the boy is my brother is the main clause. Okay, here boy is my brother is the main clause. And which is a subclause? The adjective clause or adverb clause or noun clause which we are picking out, they are called the subclauses, because who is alone this part if you take, is it meaningful? Who is wearing a blue shirt? No, it will be meaningful only when this also will be connected with this. Okay, it depends on the main clause for its existence. Okay, the boy who is wearing, not simply who is wearing a blue shirt. Okay, so who is wearing a blue shirt is the subclause. I hope this is understood to all of you. Okay, so this is the main clause. The boy is my brother is a main clause. Who is wearing a blue shirt is a subclause. So in this lesson, don't think about the main clause. Okay, we are picking out only the subclauses and we are naming it as adjective clause, adverb clause and noun clause. Understood, children? Okay, main clause we will learn in kinds of sentences in the coming lesson only. Okay, but that also you need to know, but not now. As of now, we are picking out only the subclauses and naming it as adjective according to its work done by. These clauses in the sentence we will specify it as either adjective clause or adverb clause or noun clause. Okay, so only subclauses we are picking out in the sentence now. Understood? Okay, now next example. So, and that will be, you can see that will be placed always next to the noun. Okay, so that also is there, which will make it easy for you to pick out the adjective clause. Okay, next one. God helps those who help themselves. God helps those who help themselves. Next one. The vacancy you are referring to has already been filled. The vacancy you are referring to has already been filled. Next one, you have taught me a lesson. You have taught me a lesson which I shall never forget. Okay, all that glitters, all that letters is not good. Okay, so I have written 4 sentences. Okay, so in these 4 sentences, it's very easy for you to pick out the adjective clauses. Why? Because as I've told you, the relative pronouns who, whose, whom for persons. So always remember any of these: who, whose, whom, that, which. If any of these relative pronouns, or else, yeah, exceptions are also the as, when, and where. Okay, if any of these exceptions, including the exceptions, if any of these relative pronouns are there in the sentence, you can identify or understand that from that part onwards the adjective clause starts. Okay, so first one, all that glitters is not gold, and just before that noun also will be placed. So all that glitters is not gold. What is the answer? So all is a noun. Okay, that glitter. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Not the whole thing. Okay, you pick out the whole thing. That glitters. Okay. So this relative pronoun, that glitters. This is the verb. This is the subject. Okay, and which is dependent on the main clause. All is not gold. Okay. So remaining part is a meaningful one. Okay. So all that glitters is not gold. In that glitters is the adjective clause. Okay, this is a noun. Second one, God helps those who help themselves. Okay, God helps those who help themselves, and those is a noun, and we know that who help themselves. God helps those. Those means those people. It is understood. Okay, so who is there? So this is adjective clause. Understood? Okay, and next one, the vacancy you are referring to has already been filled. Vacancy you are referring to has already, one second. Yes, there is an exception. In certain cases, even the relative pronoun won't be there. Okay, so those things are given in written form in your book. Just go through that. Okay, there are certain, say, like for example, here is the person you have been looking for. And actually, we can, if you want, we can add here is the person that you have been looking for, and that is omitted there. So here also, the vacancy that you are referring to has already been filled. Okay, so but that is omitted. Without that itself, the meaning is complete. So, which is the adjective clause here? You are referring to the vacancy has already been filled. Okay, so this is an exceptional case where the relative pronoun will be omitted. Okay, next one. You have taught me a lesson which I shall never forget. Okay, so here lesson is the noun. Here vacancy is the noun. Okay, this is the noun, and which I shall never forget. He taught me a lesson. Okay, so this is very simple for you to pick out adjective clause from the sentence. Compared to adjective phrase, compared to all the phrases, clauses are very simple. Why? Because there is a clear difference between the relative pronoun and the remaining part of the sentence. So you can easily identify from where it starts the adjective clause. Okay, so here that is there, here who is there, here only an exception where the relative pronoun will be omitted. Okay, it's an exception. And here which is also there. Okay, so that is how you can easily pick out. So always remember who, whose, whom for persons, and which for things, that for both persons and things, and as is also used. That in relative in pronoun lesson we have studied. Okay, so as is also there, and which will be followed by such and say. Okay, such people as. In such a way the sentences will come, and when and where also an exception. Okay, so this is how you have to pick out adjective clause from the sentences. Okay, and same way converting adjective phrase to a clause. The train going to Patna, that already we have example we did in the beginning. Okay, otherwise we will write it here. The train going to Patna got delayed by fog. Okay, the train going to Patna got delayed by fog. and you can see that going to Patna, the train got delayed by 4. So this is adjective phrase. This we can easily convert to adjective clause. The train is a relative pronoun which is. The train which is going to Patna got delayed by 4. Okay, so here the train which is going to Patna. So here subject and verb is there. So in such a way we can easily convert a phrase to a clause. Okay, so I hope children these things are clear to all of you. And conversions not too much of from clause to phrase and phrase to clause, not much will be there, but to pick out adjective clause, identify, pick out and identify will be there, that you should know English clear. Okay, so remember who's who, whose whom for persons, and which for things, and that for both persons and things, and as, when and where also should be there. Okay, so these things you have to remember well, and compared to phrases, clauses are easy for you to pick up. Okay? So the clues what I have told you, please do keep in mind the remaining part will be a meaningful word. Always, whether it is in place of adjective phrase or adjective clause, it will be same. Okay, the remaining part will be a meaningful one. So I hope adjective clause is very much clear to you. So in the box it is written, it describes a noun or a pronoun. It is introduced by who, whose, whom, which and that. Sometimes by as, when and where. You can underline that. An adjective clause should be placed as close as possible to the noun it describes, closer to the noun. Okay. Introducing word may sometimes be omitted in case of that vacancy you are referring to. That sentence. Sometimes only, very rarely only it will be omitted. Okay, so these are the things that you have to remember in adjective clauses, and please do all these exercises in connection with adjective clause and go through the explanation given in the text in detail. Okay, so that will help you a lot. Understood? Okay, adverb clause and noun clause we will see in the next class. So thank you children. So please do all the exercises in the text. Okay.